Welcome, guys, to the Level X podcast. As always, your host is David,
My name is Jesus.
and you guys are in for a treat today. Man, this is the episode 3. I've been super excited to do this podcast because we have a lot of things to talk about today. So hopefully you guys are ready. You guys are either driving your car or listening to this on your computer. But you're in for a treat, like I said. So, Jesus, take us off.
As always, guys, we're going to break this episode down into 3 segments just in case you're a new viewer or listener, depending on where you're hearing this. But yeah, just a quick breakdown. The first segment is going to be about books. The books that we basically read in the last week. We try to, read through a book once a week. So, one book for 1 week. Okay. So we discuss the books. We give our little rating. Just in case you guys want to read them. I don't know if you guys are trying to get into books or you guys are already reading books and you guys maybe just want a new title. Moving away from that, the second segment, we just talk about entertainment, news, stuff like that we found interesting also in the past week. Now, the last segment is going to be on seduction, and that is basically me and David have tried to become more social. So we're out there just talking to more people. So we kind of just talk about that, talk about our experiences and stuff that we learned in the field of seduction. But getting right into it, guys, David, I want to know, what book did you read in this past week, and what do you got to tell us about it, man?
Well, if you guys are casual listeners, you guys know that last week I kind of hinted out as to what book we were gonna be reading, or the book that I was gonna be reading that week. So I did finish my book, which was Elon Musk Inventing the Future by Ashley Vance. What book did you read?
I read The Accidental Billionaires.
Okay.
Now, I don't really focus on the authors, so I can't tell you that. But here, let me pull the book up because I don't know who the author was, man, if I'm being completely honest with you. The author is Ben Mesrick. Ben, I'm sorry, man. I forgot your name. But Accidental Billionaires by Ben Mesrick.
Okay, and then give us that quick rundown.
Well, pretty much, if you aren't aware, The Accidental Billionaires is a book. The full title is actually Accidental Billionaires: The Founding of Facebook, a tale of sex, money, genius, and betrayal. So, just like the title reads, guys, this is the story of how Facebook was created, the people behind Facebook, and its journey from being this project in a dorm room all the way to Silicon Valley. So, yeah, man, I mean, just getting right into it. This book was definitely interesting in the words of Mark Zuckerberg. It was interesting. Now, like I said, it is about the founding of Facebook. It is, this is my first biography of anything of this nature, and if this is how all biographies are, man, then it's pretty awesome. I'm assuming they're not, because even the author in the beginning of the book, he says The Accidental Billionaires is a dramatic narrative account based on dozens of interviews, hundreds of sources, and thousands of pages of documents, including records from several court proceedings.
Well, I read some biographies, and usually they are. I'm not 100% sure if they're like dramatic.
Yeah, well, this was definitely
but
dramatic. It felt like a fiction book almost. So while I was reading it, it was like in the third person omniscient, but it was telling it like it was actually like in the present moment. I guess you would. I don't know if I'm doing a great description of that, but
you're not.
pretty
You're
much,
not.
pretty much, imagine like the way an author will write a fiction book. And that's how this book was kind of written. Like, so it was. I don't know. I thought that was really awesome. Now, it doesn't go too much in depth necessarily on everything. Like, it covers a whole story, but the book is pretty short. It's only 200 pages. So I do feel like they're just getting to the main points. They don't really dive into any of the real work done on the Facebook. They just cover like main points. If you aren't aware, this book was actually it basically inspired the movie The Social Network, and that is actually my favorite movie of all time. So I'm actually surprised of how accurate the movie was, or how true the movie was to the book, because it pretty much goes like beat for beat what happens in the book. Obviously, books are gonna have more details, but pretty much if you watch the movie, you're gonna know what the book like, well, pretty much, yeah, if you watch the movie, you kind of know what the book talks about. So I'm not saying that the movie's better than the book, but I'm just saying they're pretty similar in that aspect. Now the book, since I feel like it kind of goes more into that fiction area, it doesn't really give like a lot of major information. I mean, you get like the basics of how the Facebook was created and everything that went into it, like how they planned it and how they executed on it. But like all fiction books, it dives more into like themes and concepts, which I actually have here. I took notes this time, guys, so I can have good information to give you guys. So right here, like the themes that I feel like it touches on a lot is fairness, um, being first, the evolution of Mark and Eduardo, because Mark, if you weren't aware, Mark Zuckerberg is the creator of the Facebook, but Eduardo Saverin, he was pretty much co-founder. He funded the entire project from the start. It goes into work ethic, the freedom of information online, and entrepreneurship. So it just covers all these themes, and I thought it was really overall, guys, I thought the book was great. I guess if I were to give it a rating, since I think we discussed, me and you, David, we're going out of 10 this time. If I'm giving this out of 10 rating, I would give it a 7.9. Definitely a 7.9. Not an 8 yet, but definitely a 7.9. I thought this was very enjoyable for being a biography. I was expecting something like kind of boring and like, all right, I mean, I'm just soaking in information. But like I said, no, this book covers a lot of themes. It's very dramatic. Definitely, the author warns you about that. But I mean, one of the weaknesses in this book is it wasn't written extremely well. I mean, there's a lot of foreshadowing, which kind of sets you up for everything that's going to happen. So you can kind of assume where the book is heading. So I feel like that's one of its weaknesses. But other than that, man, it was definitely enjoyable. It was one of those books where you kind of just want to keep reading it. It's an easy read, definitely, but it really brings you into that world. So another thing that I picked up on this book is, man, it really gives you an idea of like the kind of cutthroat business that is in Silicon Valley, man. If you're going out there, you're gonna meet some some pretty interesting characters, or at least according to this book. So other than that, man, another thing I want to touch on is just um, the work ethic of Mark Zuckerberg. The way that, well, in this case, this was told from the perspective of Sean Parker. Sean Parker is also a part owner of the Facebook, and he basically helped Facebook take it to that next level once they were in Silicon Valley. So he just describes the work ethic of Mark, and just reading about that it was definitely eye opening, I guess you can say. Here I'll read you a quote from the book. It says the work ethic in the house, which is the house that Mark and his team were living in when they moved to Silicon Valley. He said the work ethic in the house was spectacular. Almost literally, the group programmed night and day, including Mark, especially Mark. When they weren't sleeping, eating, or hurling themselves into the swimming pool via the zip line, they were at the computers from noon to 5 in the morning, coding away, adding colleges one after another to the Facebook, working out the kinks, adding applications, and developing Wirehog. They were a top-notch crew, possibly the best startup raw materials Sean had ever seen. And they just touch on that a lot. The way you really have to invest yourself into the business, throw everything you have at it, man. Another quote: if you were going to do something like this, really do it, really succeed. Then you have to live and breathe the project every minute of every day. And that's what they describe a lot. How Mark Zuckerberg's work ethic was pretty much top notch. He really invested himself and threw everything he had at the Facebook, and I think that's why it was very successful, man. Because Mark Zuckerberg um, was, see another quote right here. Mark Zuckerberg was living it. He had the drive, the stamina, and the ability. He was obviously a genius, but more than that, he had a strange, unique focus that was necessary to pull something like this off. Watching him program at 4, 5 in the morning, every morning, Sean had no doubt that Mark had the makings of one of the true success stories in the modern, revitalized Silicon Valley. So really, you have to um, throw everything you got at it, throw yourself into it, and if you do that, then you're gonna succeed. But pretty much, if you ain't working um, from noon to like 4 a.m., then you're not gonna win out there, man. So definitely, if you're ever looking to build your own startup, then this is definitely a book that'll not necessarily teach you what it takes, but it'll definitely give you an insight as to what Mark Zuckerberg and the Facebook had to do to get to that top spot. So check it out, Accidental Billionaires, Ben Mesrick. Like I said, 7.9. You have my rating. So definitely an enjoyable book, and I would definitely recommend it to people if they want to go ahead and look at how the Facebook was created.
Man, oh man, what a summary there from yours truly, the kid, Jesus. um, what a definitely I am definitely gonna read that book in the future. Not now, of course, because I have other books that I'm reading at the moment. So next week we are gonna be talking about um we're gonna be talking on the topic of game theory. So that's a little hint if you guys know about economics. But getting into my book, let's spice things up a little bit. From that long summary from Jesus. But like I said, my book was on Elon Musk. It was a biography, and it's cool how me and Jesus both were reading, kind of like biographies slash epic. Well, they're both kind of biographies, you can say. Well, his is more, I don't know if you can call it a biography. Mine was definitely a full-on biography by Ashley Vance, about close to 400 pages. So this book, I actually finished it like less than a week, and usually this was my longest read so far this year, so I'm actually very proud of myself. I think this book actually helped me out in the sense that it was super interesting, and I only read like one or two biographies before this, and before this, the last biography that I read was on Steve Jobs. So you know what a correlation between Steve Jobs and the new guy Elon Musk. Now, if you guys don't know about Elon Musk, you guys probably heard, he's as he founded or co-founded PayPal, or maybe you know him as, oh, he's a guy that wants to go to Mars. Well, he's more of a more than just that, man. This book definitely dives into Elon Musk, not only his background, his family background, but as the type of manager and the type of leader that he is, which is very dope. Just because he's a pioneer in what he does, and as guys, or in my case, I like looking up to guys that are like titans in a certain industry, but as well as kind of like aiming towards that. So I guess if you guys don't have like let's just say like a father figure or like someone that you look up to, biographies are the best type of book to read. Um, because just like Jesus was saying, you kind of see their work ethic, you see kind of how they are, how they lead people, and I think that kind of goes on to you in a weird way. But let's just go straight dive into my book. So basically, Ashley Vance, he starts off saying that Elon Musk didn't approve of the biography at first. So it was very hard for Ashley because he wanted to write this biography that the main person he was doing the biography on didn't want written on him. So it's kind of weird. So basically, Ashley had to go all around and get interviews with some people because Elon Musk didn't want some people to interview with him. So it was just a conflict. And then eventually, Elon was like, okay, I'll let you write this biography. So the biography basically follows Elon Musk from when he was a young kid out in South Africa. And then it moves all the way to where he is now. And this book was actually written in 2015, I believe, 2014. So it's very recent. So I really like that. It's my first ever biography that I read like recently. So basically it catches up to you as to where you are now. So it goes from Elon Musk designing or creating this software called Zip2 back in the internet boom era. Basically, what that was back in Silicon Valley, back in the like early 1990s. There was this big hype about the internet, and all these types of kids from high school or from colleges were creating all types of software. Some of it was cool software, some of it was basically shit. But because there was such a boom and investors wanted the next big thing, they were just investing a shitload of money on these young kids, basically creations. Elon Musk basically created Zip2, which was kind of like a Yelp now. It was a Yelp slash Google Maps. So, it was like a directory, like Yellow Pages, but then it had like a type of maps as to it directed you to a certain location. So he sold that. I believe it was for 300 million. Don't quote me on that. But it was a shitload of money back then, even now for some type of software. So Elon Musk sold that, got most of the got a little most of the money, and then with that he invested into his next venture. And what I like about this is that you already know that they're gonna be visionaries because they keep on innovating or creating new ventures and ventures. And I think everyone should be like that. If you have one success, instead of just relying on that success, you should keep for more. And Elon Musk was young at the time too. So then after that, he invested his money into what he called X.com or X, and it was basically a finance company. So he created X, and it was kind of like an online banking. And it's so cool about this book is that throughout the book, there's always barriers into every industry that Elon goes into. So every time he creates a new venture or every time he goes into a new field, the leaders of that field are always mocking him or always talking basically shit about his new venture, about how it's not going to work, and these are the reasons why. But Elon Musk, I think that's one of his biggest traits. Even Ashley says is that he takes no for he never takes no for an answer. He keeps doing it, and I think that's the reason why he ended up deciding to allow Ashley to do a biography, because he had that persistence to him as well that Elon has. So then he created X, and he became an actual leader in that finance industry. He became the first ever online banking company. And then after that, Peter Thiel and some other dude created PayPal to try to rival against X. But X was the leader. PayPal still has some users. So then they created some type of partnership. Elon was like, hey, let's combine forces. Let's do this. They were like, okay. So they combined forces, and it was called X. So once they combined forces with PayPal, basically both companies had different styles of leadership. So it wasn't a good combination. So then eventually the employees went against Elon, and they went to the board of directors and they were like, let's get Elon out of here. Let's get Peter Thiel back into the CEO. Behind Elon's back. Once Elon noticed this, it was already too late. So basically, he was out of the CEO position. He was still owner of. He had the most shares of the company, so that made him basically co-owner or co-founder of the entire company. But they got Peter Thiel as the CEO, and that's when he changed the name to PayPal. They eventually sold it to eBay, giving since Elon had most of the shares, he got most of the money. And with that, everyone was like, okay, Elon, you're good now. You have a shitload of money. But Elon said no. What he did instead was that he basically invested all this money into two major companies, which was SpaceX and the other one was Tesla. Now, a lot of you guys are saying, well, look, it turned out great. But you got to think, and I think this was back in 2004. I could be wrong on the time period. But I know it was 2004 through 2008, one of those periods of time. But you have to understand that at this time in the aerospace industry, the leaders were Boeing, and then there was actual big countries like Russia that were basically leaders of that field. And then there comes this kid that basically had two small technology ventures wanting to go into, that space field. Is basically absurd. Everyone thought he was crazy. And his Tesla, basically what he wanted to do is have an all-electric car go against people, like Chrysler, Ford, even the Germans, with BMW. Just crazy ideas. And it takes you also through just the rough patches, because in the beginning of those companies, Elon was losing all his money. the companies were already kind of going bankrupt already, and you kind of see this type of turmoil within him, and you kind of see like shit, like if he had gone through this and he still could survive, I could survive too. So this biography was amazing. Basically, it takes you through these companies, and then eventually he does have Solar X City as well, or Solar X or Solar City. My fault. Solar City, which is basically solar panels, and it just takes you through the entire thing. And then now, as you guys know, SpaceX is basically doing reusable rockets, which is huge, huge. And then they're gonna be hopefully next year taking people to the ISS. Tesla released recently the Model 3 with more than 400 pre-orders already. So Tesla is doing a great thing. If you guys didn't hear, 35,000 for those pre-orders of the Model 3s. And if you guys didn't hear as well, I know that Audi and Ford are actually reverse engineering the Model X because they basically love the technology that's in the Tesla. So Tesla is doing crazy, crazy things. My new book is actually talking about strategic thinking, and it actually talks about how the leaders in those types of fields or those types of industries usually follow the people in the back, which is crazy to me because I'm actually seeing this, and before this I wouldn't be aware of it. You know, why is Ford or why is like someone as big as Audi following Tesla, which has been barely in the hasn't been in the industry as long as they have. So really crazy correlations there. And then yeah, man, Elon Musk is gonna take us to Mars hopefully in the future. I'm excited for that. My rating for this book, guys, from 0 out of 10, I would have to say a solid 8 or 8.5. I think I rated it as high as my Steve Jobs biography. You see that crazy correlation between crazy geniuses, and I think Elon Musk is our generation's crazy genius, man. So I'm excited for that. From there, I don't have anything else.
Just give us the title one more time for that book, David.
Well, it was Elon Musk, just Ashley Vance. You guys can links are always down below. Follow us on our Twitter as always. Our Twitter is filled with a bunch of knowledge and information, guys. We always link you guys to the books that we're reading. The Level X podcast at Twitter. Follow us. And yeah, man, hopefully you guys are reading or keeping track of the books. Reading is definitely one of the biggest keys to knowledge.
Definitely, guys, definitely. And man, just if you do decide to read, apply. Just like sun lotion, apply the knowledge that you're reading, man. Apply it to your daily life. You will see major changes. I believe David showed me an article about all it takes is 25 pages a day, and you should be able to accomplish many books throughout the year. So you know, start small for yourself, especially if you're not a big reader or never was, or never were. All you need to do is pick up a book and read 25 pages a day. Trust me, guys, you'll get far in a year.
Well, I don't think necessarily like pick up a book. I think you just have to pick up the right book,
Right.
And just do it. I think a lot of people have that trouble of, well, it's hard for me to stay focused or whatever.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things, if you are getting distracted while reading, turn off all the distractions. You know, go into your room, go to a quiet room, turn off your phone, turn off your laptop, turn off everything, and don't turn them on until you have completed your 25 pages a day. And if you're a first time reader, start small, man. Don't pick up, like fucking like Oxford's dictionary or some shit and read that. I have like some easy read books that are definitely packed with knowledge. If you guys need those, you can always email us. You can always tweet us. So definitely tweet or email us, and we will definitely recommend you any type of book at your reading level. Besides that, anything else?
No, man, we just gave you two great books: Elon Musk, Ashley Vance, and Accidental Billionaires, Ben Mesrick. If you want to see what went into some of the biggest companies in the modern era, definitely check these two books out. You won't regret it.
And if you guys are big YouTubers as well, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, I know that Ashley Vance actually did an interview with Tay Lopez. If you guys don't know who Tay Lopez, Ty, whatever. Basically a huge advocate of reading. Basically they sat down and chatted up, man. And I think it's a great video if you guys finish or want to know more about Elon Musk or into his mindset, definitely watch that video. Besides that, guys, we will see you guys very, very soon in the next segment.
What's up, guys? This is Jesus. I have David right next to me. So, David, it's time. It's time. The time has come one more time for me to interview you. Now, you're one of the greatest innovators of our time. You created two of the largest companies,
Of course.
in our region.
You know how I do.
So, David, I want to ask you just this once.
What do you want to ask?
What I know you've been a follower of his for several years now. You've been one of his biggest advocators. You tell everyone about him that we meet. You just mentioned that, and basically Conor McGregor, man. Now, if you guys aren't aware,
My Irish best friend.
yeah. Now, now if you guys aren't aware, David is shadow boxing right now. But if you guys aren't aware, Conor McGregor like 2 days ago tweeted out.
What did he tweet?
He tweeted out that he is retiring from UFC.
Oh, nah, fake.
All right, well, let me tell the people first so like they can become informed.
Okay.
Conor McGregor did tweet out, "I have decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese," because his one of his biggest sponsors is Cheddar. So thanks for the cheese. Like he was basically saying thank you, Cheddar, for sponsoring
Cheddar
me.
who?
The cheese, the mac and cheese company, Cheddar Mac and Cheese. So he was saying thank you, mac and cheese, because he likes mac and cheese. That's his favorite food. And he said, "Catch yas later." Now, he basically blew up the Twitter sphere. He blew up everything pretty much. Everyone was speculating, what does this mean? Is he really retiring? There was even rumors that he was going to the WWE. But now pretty much he dispelled his own rumors because he did I think
you're doing this completely wrong, man. Basically, Conor McGregor 2 days ago, he tweeted that in all seriousness, he tweeted that he was going to retire, and everyone was like, what the fuck is going on? And then later on that day, Dana White actually goes onto Sports Center and announces that yes, Conor McGregor is out of the UFC 200, the company's biggest and hugest event to date ever. Basically,
what's gonna be the biggest event?
It's gonna be basically their biggest event. That's how they're promoting it. And Dana White was like, yeah, he's out of the UFC. He's out of UFC 200 because he did not want to do the promotion and interviews. And everyone was like, there has to be more. This can't be it. Like, what the fuck's going on? Dana White is not saying something. Then you can catch him up.
Okay, well then,
because you were butchering that.
Basically an hour ago on Facebook, he put this super long post. We'll link you to it on Twitter if you want to read it. But he pretty much just said how the reason for him, quote unquote, retiring, is that he pretty much, after that loss to Nate Diaz, he was pretty much just gonna hit the gym 24/7. Work on whatever he did wrong, and pretty much the promotion cut into that training. Now Conor, if you're not a big follower of him, he's pretty much the biggest draw in the UFC right now, and a lot of that has to do with his promotion. Like,
exactly,
he's basically the biggest trash talker in the UFC and the best. So his mouth is what has gotten him here pretty much. Aside from his amazing skill, his brash attitude is pretty much what gave him the stardom
and has basically brought a bunch of people to the UFC. Man.
Right. I mean, Conor McGregor is the biggest draw right now. Yeah. I think he might even be bigger than Ronda Rousey.
He is because even ESPN, if you guys, and ESPN, they actually did a stats saying that he was the biggest draw for the last 3 UFC. So the three biggest UFC events, the last 3 is because of Conor. Well, Conor basically headlined them.
Quoting from this post, he said, "It is. I feel the $400 million I have generated for the company in my last 3 events, all inside 8 months, is enough to get me this slight leeway." And that leeway is basically he doesn't want to do the promotion.
He says that he would do the promotion in New York.
In New York, yeah, the New York promotion. Pretty much the UFC is taking these guys all around the country promoting this fight. And Conor doesn't want to do that, man. He just wants to be in Iceland training apparently for the fight. He told Dana, no, I'm gonna train, just give me this one time, I'm just dedicated to training. I don't want to talk to people. And Dana wasn't having that, man. He basically said, all right, well, you're out of the UFC. 200 event, and now Conor's like, oh well, this is why I don't want to promote. And I don't know, David. Do you think he's in the right? He's in the wrong, or what are your opinions, man?
I think Conor's a fucking genius, bro. And I'm gonna tell you why.
All right.
First of all, I think he like the way he's like a couple months back. Like let's just when was his last fight? Like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
3 months ago, everyone was basically against Conor, saying, "Oh, how he basically runs this and all this shit," right?
Yeah.
In the last 2 days, he spins it so much that he is basically him against the top corporation.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone's saying like, "Oh, fuck UFC," like let the guy train. Like basically, he spinned it so well, and he's amazing with words. I don't know. This guy probably has some type of literature degree because he's so like his posts are amazing.
He's very passionate. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically he spins it for him to be like an underdog, kind of like everyone was saying it, how he's like Rocky IV, how he's this champion and all of a sudden he kind of loses. So he, instead of going into the spotlight, he basically goes to the woods and he's just training, like basically what brought him here.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's spinning it so well that everyone's kind of supporting Conor once again. Everyone's saying like, yeah, man, like,
yeah,
be that underdog that got you here.
Yeah.
And basically turning UFC into like, this type of big brother government type of shit. Like, oh, Dana White, fuck him or whatever. So I think first of all, it's amazing PR move again from him.
Yeah.
I think personally, I cannot see Dana White not getting him for UFC 200 because look at how much
he's gonna draw
by
money.
I think now people are more excited about this fight or about Conor by him not even doing press conferences, just by one tweet or by this type of commotion or whatever.
Yeah.
Then
he's
ever
generating so much buzz.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like he trended like twice already.
Yeah. And pretty much, Conor in this post he did say he is still ready to fight for UFC 100. He actually ended it off in all caps, "I am not retired." So he's ready to go for UFC 200. It's whether Dana is gonna swallow some of his pride.
Now it's Dana White's choice.
Yeah, man. And he's always been a businessman. So what is best for business is that Conor McGregor fight at UFC. But man, that pressure that's gonna be on Conor.
No, and now is the thing is that I feel the reason why McGregor's going to these lengths of like, oh no, I'm just training is because he has a shitload on the line, man.
Yeah,
I feel like
he
has basically his entire career is on the line in this one. Like it's do or die because now at this point he knows what this fight means to him. Yeah. Not only because he needs to redeem himself, but also because he wants to show basically his company that he is a man.
Yeah.
But this is UFC's biggest event. Like it's gonna be their biggest event. Mm-hmm. So he knows that the world is watching.
It's gonna go down in the history books. Yeah,
the world is watching. So he needs to redeem himself. So that's why I feel he's so dedicated to training. And I think it's actually the right move to make, man. Like at the end of the day, everyone's saying, well, everyone does promotions. What the fuck? But at the end of the day, like no one's doing promotions the way Conor's doing it.
Yeah.
You see, for example, Ronda, like she lost, and instead of going straight to the mats, what did she do? She went to Hollywood to be in the spotlight again. But Conor's not like that. He's actually passionate about what he does.
Well, I heard also that he dropped his
movie
role. Yeah, his role in XXX.
Exactly, because he lost. So he's like, all right, well, obviously I was too much in the spotlight, so I need to train. But everyone's saying, well, everyone goes to interviews and all these types of conferences or whatever. But at the same time, it's like no one's drawing as much buzz as Conor. Like Nate isn't getting followed by TMZ, basically asking him, "Hey, can you beat this guy? Can you beat this guy?"
Yeah.
But everyone's doing that to Conor or whatever. So I feel at the same time, what's best for business now is basically Dana's choice, and I feel the people want. All I'm saying is that I feel if Conor isn't in UFC 200, I don't think I'm buying the damn pay-per-view, man.
Definitely streaming it, but not buying it.
Yeah, definitely not buying it. Like, yeah, there's gonna be good fights, but like how me and Suze were saying, I don't think they're headline worthy, man. I don't think they're headline worthy.
The other fights are not headline worthy. And pretty much at the end of the day, man, we're the ultimate. We're not hardcore fans. I guess you could almost call us the quintessential casual fans. So you're hearing it from here first, man. Us as casual fans, we're
To
not gonna,
Dana.
we're not. Yeah, Dana, we're not gonna buy UFC 200 if Connor's not on there. UFC 200 is coming to you live July 9th, 2016 in Las Vegas, Nevada. So there you go, guys.
Crazy. What do you think? Like, do you think, like, let's say you're a Dana. Let's just put yourself in Dana's shoes before we go into the next segment or to the next topic. What do you do? Do you set an example?
I set I set a straight example, man. You can't let the inmates run the asylum.
But then that causes you a shitload of money on your biggest event.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a tough call. At the end of the day, I would not put Connor back if I was Dana. In my opinion, I don't think Dana's gonna do it. He pretty much went on national television and said Connor's out of the event. He pretty much said, "Oh, look, if you're not gonna do this, like." He pretty much set the rules, and I feel like he would look like a bitch if he like went back on his word. So at that point, I don't think Connor's coming back to the UFC.
So basically, his ego.
Yeah, you can't. No, not his ego. It's just the rules, man. Like if you like, oh well, we're giving an exemption.
Now this guy did bring you in.
Yeah,
like,
man, but it's not
$250 million in less than a year.
Yeah, but like I said, you can't let the inmates run the asylum. You give leeway to Connor. These other guys are gonna get pissed. Like, what the hell? Like, we don't get in there.
Or do they bring in that much revenue?
Yeah, I'm just letting you know, man. That's what I would do.
Well, it's like basically saying LeBron. Like, exactly.
Well, dude, I'm hoping Connor gets put back, but I'm saying I'm expecting him not to. That's what I'm leaving it at.
No, but for you.
For me, what?
Like, what's your choice? Why?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
If I was like the owner,
that's what I'm calling you. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. I put Connor back because at the end of the day, it's all about business. It's all about business, man. That event is gonna sell hardcore numbers, but it's not gonna sell as much if Connor's not on there.
Or would it be? What about Nate, Connor, and GSP triple threat match?
Triple threat match, first ever triple threat match. That'd be tight. Man, that's gonna sell. That's gonna sell.
Anyways, let's go to the next topic, guys. Also, leave your comments down below, or even tweet us. What are your thoughts on this entire situation?
Debacle.
Yeah, that's happening. Tweet out to Dana too, saying that fuck him. He's an establishment.
All right, David. Now.
What?
Man, I was in my SCM class.
Okay.
And
what's SCM to the people? Tell them.
I don't know.
What class is that?
I don't show up that much. But
what class is that? Like, say the entire name.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what SCM stands for.
Supply chain management.
Supply chain. Damn. You have been going to my class recently. But anyways, we were in there, and my boy, my professor.
Hey, don't be shouting him out like that.
My boy. Whatever, right? My professor was talking about about stats, pretty much. What was that? It doesn't matter. But he pretty much shouted out this book called Dataclysm, and it basically just talks about the online social platform and people's preferences. So I went to check out the book. There was this dude who gave it a review, said, "Oh, pretty much you can read everything on the book in this blog post."
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna link this blog post on our Twitter as well.
If you guys are not following our Twitter, you guys are missing out.
But pretty much the title of the blog post is Race and Attraction from 2009 to 2014.
Okay.
And pretty much, just a quick summary, it's this guy runs this dating site, and he gathered up all this data between that, like, what races are attracted to other races. So here, David, I'm going to read you some of these stats, and you let me know your thoughts and how accurate you think this is.
Okay.
Now, here's how the exact person or person numbers shook out.
Okay.
So pretty much, I'm going to read you Asian. So for an Asian man, this is how he rated other races of women. So for Asian women...
A lot of our women reviewers are going to get offended.
And this is from their exact numbers to the average. So 0 is like the average of like attraction, and pretty much Asian men rated Asian woman 11% more attractive than the average.
Than the average woman?
Than the average woman, yeah. So Asian men are 11% more attracted to Asian women than an average woman. Asian men are negative 16% attracted to black women than the average woman.
I did hear also that a lot of people are.
Wait. For Latina women, Asian men are -1% attracted to them
almost
than
average,
the
yeah.
average. And for white women, Asian men are 7% more attracted to them than the average women.
So Asians love Asians.
Asians love Asians.
Oh, male
now,
Asians.
other breakdowns here, white men. Man, if it comes down to it, men just don't like black women.
Well,
that's what it's coming
I was
down
actually
to
going to
here.
tell you that, man, that a lot of stats and a lot of online says that basically if you're an Asian man, you're basically kind of not necessarily screwed, but a lot of you're basically gonna be on the lower side of attractiveness as well as black women.
That's what those stats say here. Also for all women.
See, and I haven't even seen these. I'm just basically saying it from other sources, you know. But this source says it, and it's a book as well.
So yeah, all women view Asian men in the negatives except Asian women. Asian women rate men 10% more attractive than the average man. But here, since you're Latino, I'm actually
not, homie.
Well,
I'm Navajo.
I'm gonna see how accurate this is.
All right.
Now, Latino men, and this is just you.
All right.
Let's say, hey, if you agree with this, Latino men are 7% more attracted to Asian women than the average women.
I do love my Asians.
They're -22% attracted to black women than the average woman. So that's the lowest rating on this chart. -22%. So Latino men don't like black women at all. For Latino women, they're 6% more attracted to them than the average woman, and 9% more attracted to white women than the average woman.
So you're saying I'm more attracted to the most?
You're either more attracted to white women or Asian women. Is that true?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not accurate for you.
Well, I think white women for sure. I think white. Yeah, that's right.
Now, this is where it gets real, guys. Because if you're a guy, this is where it gets real for you. Let's see what women are attracted to.
Let's see.
Now, we'll cover Asian women and white women.
All right.
So Asian women are 10% more attracted to Asian.
Why didn't you just say like the top two?
Okay, the top two. Here I'll rate it on percentages. Right. So the biggest percentage here I see is 17%, and that's white women are 17% more attracted to white men than the average.
We done.
White women don't like Asian men. They don't like black men that much.
Oh shit.
Latino men, they're actually in the clear. They're 1% more attracted to Latino men than the average man.
Buddy.
Biggest rating, second biggest, black women are attracted to black men. 16% more attracted to them.
Now our black friend did say it's because they're more of like. Oh, actually, never mind. That.
And then lastly, Asian women are 16% more attracted to white men than the average man. They actually beat out other Asian men. So from the looks of it, women like white guys, pretty much. The only other greens I see here are Latino women to Latino men. They're 11% more attracted. Black women to black men. So pretty much, what this is saying here that if your races are attracted to other races, so
to the same race,
to the similar race, so Latinas to Latino men, white women to white men, pretty much like that. But again, here, man, pretty much women are not that attracted to black men or Asian men. For Latino men, it's half and half, and everyone likes white men.
Now this is a rating from 2009, 2014.
Right, from this dating site.
So 2 years could be a huge difference. Next thing you know, this thing could already be turned. I don't know.
No, definitely it could be turned. But it's definitely well, no, it says right here, has anything changed? Okay. So in some ways, no. OkCupid users are certainly no more open-minded than they used to be.
Oh.
So in those 5 years, nothing has changed. So it's pretty
set in stone.
Yeah, it's pretty level at that point. Like there have been no major changes. So those are the stats, man. I just wanted to run that by you, see what you thought, David.
I mean, for the most part, it's kind of accurate. I mean, I'm only seeing it from my perspective.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming yours are the same.
Right, and I guess you can say I'm not that attracted to Asian women if I'm being honest.
No, but definitely the white, yeah.
The white, the Latinas, yeah. Now, like I said, all this data is from a dating site.
But what is like this? Like everyone's saying, okay, what about this? What can we use this for?
Pretty much everything, man. It says here there are many situations that might not be explicitly romantic, but are nonetheless a lot like a first date, a job interview, trying to rent an apartment, when you meet your freshman roommates. It really did. Like if you're not gonna want to sleep with a person, then you're probably not gonna like them very much, anyways. So it really gives you it's an eye-opening experience to see what kind of races other people prefer. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean,
It's kind of weird, but
you can take this with a grain of salt. Don't read much into it. I mean, if you're a cool dude, I'm assuming people will like you, but pretty much they won't want to sleep with you.
Okay.
So at this point, guys, we will leave the link to the blog post. You can read all into it. Otherwise, it'll take too much of our time. There's even a book, like I said, called Dataclysm. I think there's 2 versions. But lastly, but not leastly, David, Game of Thrones is coming back for its 6th and final season this Sunday.
Yeah,
that's a lie, because that's not its final season.
There's one more I heard.
Yeah, I think there's 2 more. Well, this one and the next one, but pretty much, I want to know your thoughts, David. How hyped are you for the season, and what can we expect?
I don't know what to expect, man, because when it comes, because I think I took that from you, is that I don't like kind of seeing too much
trailers and
reading too much articles, because then I think that spoils the excitement of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, I don't fuck with that. So basically, I don't know exactly what to expect. I did see one trailer and it looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like always. And I did hear, I think, I forgot from who, but I did hear that this season is going to be, every episode is going to be amazing. That's what I heard. So I'm fucking excited for this shit. Yeah, man, that's all I can say about it, really.
It's definitely gonna be an interesting season, man. There's so many dynamics at play this time. So my expectation is that it's gonna be one of the better seasons. Definitely better than the last season. I'm not sure if it's gonna be better than season 4.
Well, last season was.
It was amazing at the end. Like the second half was tight, dude. But if you're not watching Game of Thrones, then don't listen to this podcast. But I'm just kidding, you guys. No, but if you're not watching Game of Thrones, definitely watch Game of Thrones.
You're doing something wrong.
You have 1 month of HBO Now for free, so definitely take advantage of that
by using our code lvlx.
I wish. But I mean, Game of Thrones definitely super badass. If you're hesitant to watch it, David was also hesitant to watch it. So what turned you into a Game of Thrones fan, David?
Well, I initially knew about Game of Thrones before you did.
Okay,
but since you did beat me to the punch, I was like, this fucker can't beat me to the punch. So I was like, might as well catch up before this guy gets too far, and then I caught up.
And is there a little bit of something for everyone in Game of Thrones, or?
I think, yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know from a girl's perspective, but definitely a guy, because like if you like violence and fucking fantasy and war and sex, this shit's for you.
Yeah, pretty much. If you love
everything, man. If you're a fucking guy, just watch this shit.
Yeah, if you're a guy, definitely watch this. If you're a girl,
just try it.
I think you'll just try it. Come on, just be open minded. But that's
are you adventurous?
Game of Thrones comes to you this Sunday on HBO. Definitely watch it. We'll definitely be watching it there. So
we're gonna be live streaming our reactions afterwards.
Yeah, we'll post our reactions. It's definitely gonna be a great season. Hit us up on Level X on Twitter, man. Let's have a conversation about Game of Thrones. Let's share some fan theories. And we'll see. Are you gonna read a Song of Ice and Fire books?
Well, you're saying that I shouldn't do it, so I don't.
Well, let's get this straight, guys. I never said he shouldn't do it.
What did you tell me?
I said pretty much you should just watch the show, because at this point you're already reading a lot of other books. So A Song of Ice and Fire, you can pretty much just get some of the major key points there, at least for the first book, because I fear they're saying after a while the books definitely stray away from like the TV show. Actually, I heard that a lot of fans of the books aren't going to be watching this upcoming season because they don't want anything spoiled for them.
What the? Well, actually, isn't he releasing his book like next year or this year?
I heard there's no release date for that yet.
I heard it was this year.
This year?
I heard.
Well, pretty much. There was speculation that a lot of fans are hesitant to watch this upcoming season because they don't want the book spoiled for them. But at this point, like I heard that they've strayed away somewhat. Like they're so different from. But I mean, they pretty much still have the key characters like
Reek and
John and all that.
like I'm not 100. Like I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I am a big fan of writing, but what I'm saying is that I don't have a lot of experience when it comes to like novel writing or some shit. Do you
Yeah.
think Martin already has the entire like how he wants the books to go, or do you think he's just basically off the top of the dome?
From I think they have like a general layout of how he wants the book to go, like the plot. I'm sure he has like an idea of how he wants the characters to die or how he wants their
And
story arcs to end. Um, but I think definitely, I
like
mean,
I mean, that's not.
once he's writing there's gonna be like some small details that change and
So
stuff like
you
that. So
so you think
he's
that
definitely gonna get inspired.
so you think the TV shows are actually the way that the books are gonna go?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I think, well, from my understanding, Martin actually spoke to the two, like the two head guys, and told them, oh, this is how I picture the story going, and they went from that, like, oh, they went from Martin's ideas, and they like ran with it. So pretty much, I do think the show is gonna spoil some of the things in the book, but of course, it's not gonna spoil everything. So it's really up to you whether you want to watch the season 6 of Game of Thrones. We'll definitely be watching it.
Yep.
That's why we don't read those. That's why we don't read those books, so we can enjoy the show. But eventually, man, are you trying to finish the books or what?
I don't know. I mean, eventually I would want to read the books, but that's a long time for
Well, if
me.
you're definitely reading something, read Harry Potter because those books are tight. But that's where we'll leave it at that, guys. Read Harry Potter. What's up, guys? We're back here. My name is Jesus.
This is David.
And if you're barely tuning in, I don't know how you necessarily got to this point. You must have like just taken a wild guess and just clicked like one certain part of the bar, and then you just got here. That's amazing. I need to know your technique if you're barely listening. But regardless, guys, you're listening to the Level X podcast. Now, this is a third segment of the podcast, which is, like I said earlier, the seduction part. Now, what is seduction, David? Let's get a quick definition here for our lovely viewers.
Not no fucking dictionary.
All right,
All I know,
go ahead.
just basic.
Go ahead.
What? Just using, not necessarily techniques, but just following your instinct of
Pretty much
attraction
pretty
towards
much
another.
tricking girls into hanging out with you. That's what. No. Okay, let's not get it twisted. No, yeah, definitely just pretty much becoming more social, guys. This is where we pretty much just talk about our week in seduction, which was, if I'm being honest, a pretty lazy week for us. Now, last week we did touch on a lot of subjects. One of them being routine, guys. I cannot emphasize this enough. Where you where you pretty much have to stick to it, and boy, have we fallen off the wagon. I'm not gonna lie, guys. This was a pretty sorrow week for me. Now, I don't really have a lot of I guess a lot of examples this week to share, except one of them, which I actually got a lot of information about. Now, it's all about the reference experience. If you're starting out, if you're like barely a newbie, one of the key things is the reference experience, and that basically just helps you to understand what you're doing wrong, but you can still improve on. So let's get right into it, guys. Now, the only really real set that I can remember this week is where I actually was walking with a girl, and I pulled up real smooth. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this was pretty smooth. I just pretty much said hi, but I said it in a way where it's like it was kind of really chill, and she was receptive right away. She gave me this big smile, which was a good sign for me.
Well, can you repeat that for the viewers? So like let's just say that viewers are the girl.
Well, I just said hey, and she was,
Like that?
because yeah, I just said hey, like hey.
Oh,
But I like earlier I had like seen her and she was eyeing me, like she turned her head twice.
okay.
So no, I knew she was like interested. So I went up to her. I said, "Hey." We had like this normal conversation, like, "Oh, like hey." She was actually dressed really nice. So I was like, "You're dressed really nice," and she was like, "Yeah, you just came from work." Blah blah blah. She told me she was some kind of major. And recently I've been trying out this little shtick where whenever they ask me like what are you studying? I read that from Tyler Durden's classic post, which is also you can find on our Twitter. He said whenever they ask like what do you do, or like where do you work, What are you studying? It's pretty much a shit test. Just take it as a shit test. Don't even give them an honest answer. So I instead of like giving them the honest answer, which is really boring in my eyes, I just tell them I'm a bounty hunter. Like I'm studying how to become a bounty hunter.
Okay.
Now,
So she asked you what are you majoring in?
yeah, and I said, oh, bounty hunting. Like, so it not only is it funny, but it's also like really witty, really like I don't know how
Playful?
Yeah, playful. It's a lot of things, guys.
You don't take yourself too seriously? Or?
You could read so much into it, but pretty much it gets the girl to laugh, and that's a major point. You want a girl to have fun. Now, I tell them I'm a bounty hunter. I've been tweaking it every now and then, so this is how kind of it goes now. So I say bounty hunting. They laugh.
And what did she say? She laughed.
She's like, oh yeah, and I was like, I don't know. She can say anything. I don't really care what she says. All I know is that she laughs, and then I say, with my tweaks now, I'm like, yeah, I'm out there arresting bad guys or catching bad guys, and she keeps laughing, and then I don't know how. It's not the transition isn't the smoothest, but I just pretty much say, oh, at least for this girl, I said, oh yeah, I might have to arrest you.
Okay.
You look
okay.
Well, this time she actually responded. She's like, oh, wow, I look like something like a bad person, or something like that, like a bad girl. And
Bad
like,
girl. Okay.
Yeah. Well, pretty much that's how I want it to go. I was like, oh yeah, you look like a bad girl. I was like, and pretty much I took that. And I was like, yeah, this is all a ruse. Like, since she was dressed on.
And you guys were walking to her dorm.
I don't know where we were walking, guys, but I pretty much said this is all a ruse. You're actually doing illegal stuff on the
premise
on the weekends or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So she was laughing. It turned into a good vibe after that. After a while, I think I just asked her like, oh, so what did you want to do when you grew up or some shit like that? And I died a little bit, and then we were at the stoplight. And that's pretty much when like the conversation like faded away. Like I really had nothing else to say after that. So when that happens, guys, I don't freak out. I don't leave the set. I kind of just stay there, especially when it's going so good. You're not supposed to freak out. Just stay calm. I stayed calm, and at that point, the pressure's kind of on her to continue the conversation, which she actually did. So it was really good. She asked me a question. She was like, "Where are you from?" And pretty much whenever a girl asks you a question, you could take it as a sign that she's invested. She wants to keep talking to you, or at least she just wants to not be awkward. So at that point, pretty much you're in control. That's the way I take it. Okay. I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
I mean, that's a good way. I mean,
it just shows that she's invested. So she just asked like, "Where are you from?" And I just said, "I'm obviously from wherever I'm from." And
you don't want to say Bounty Hunter Land or some shit?
No. At that point, I heard from Tyler, you're supposed to fun, and after a while, you're supposed to kind of try to build a connection.
Okay.
So show that like I'm fun, but I'm also like a real person.
Okay.
So
not just this clown.
Right. At this point, like. That wasn't my intent necessarily, but she was asking me, so I didn't really have like some kind of witty remark or something funny to go. She was just asking, "Where are you from?" So I just said where I'm from. I asked her where she's from. At that point, we weren't talking that much until we were talking about where we're from, but that's when she had to go to her dorm. So this is where the key comes in, guys, because this is where I totally fucked up. She said, she's like, "Oh wow, this is my dorm," and the way she said it made it seem like.
How did she say it?
She said it in a way where it was like, oh, this is my dorm. Like, I have to go now unless you give me something better to do. And then me being like kind of a newbie, but also kind of being a pussy, I just was like, okay, well, you should give me your number. Like, I showed like no assertiveness. I basically showed to her like, oh, look, this guy's not assertive. This guy isn't going to go for what he wants. And pretty much this guy's going to settle. Like, he settles for a number when I'm not that interested in going inside. Because I even asked her, oh, well, what are you doing later? She's like, I don't know. I have to write a paper. Like,
yeah.
She's probably she's not looking forward to that. She wants a good experience.
Maybe a coffee date. Maybe
something.
More fun.
I think she wanted something. But me, I didn't take it, man. I kind of just like, oh, well, give me your number. Like, I even was like, I tried to keep it fun. But at that point, like, once I said that, the set was pretty much over. I was realizing this all after I left, obviously. At that point in time, I wasn't, like, really noticing anything. Like, but once she gave me her number, walking away, I knew something was wrong. I was like, that was going way too good for it to end this way. Like, I don't know. I felt like she was invested, and I should have done more. But walking away, I was like, damn, like I fucked up. Like I immediately acknowledged how I fucked up. So pretty much the point of this is when it's going really good, don't be afraid to blow out, I guess, in my opinion. Like go for as much as you can. Like you were telling me after that oh, one of your boys was telling you how the number should be the last resort after you've exhausted all other options pretty much.
Exactly. Like don't even go for the number. Like that's your basically last resort. Like even on the topic of let's just talk your set because like you had a bad week. I had a even horrible week, man. I didn't really do approaching. You know, I basically just went to school. I mean, talked to like classmates, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
Nothing serious. So, yeah, I mean, but you like basically you just had to hold yourself accountable. So this week I was like really shit. So I do apologize to the listeners, but I do have obviously some knowledge to bring to the table because I actually do read a little seductions books here and there. But talking about because I'm assuming that some of our viewers aren't even into like seduction per se. I don't know why. I mean, if you guys are young, I mean, starting like at the age of, I don't know, like 17 or 16 or 17, 17, I would say get into that, not necessarily get into that field, but definitely if you're not the most social guy, start developing those skills because they're going to be very, very important, especially if you go to college or per se, because man, we have friends that or people that we talk to from different ranges, from basically being freshmen that don't have really social skills, and then you see that they're not having the most fun in college, to the guys that actually do have, like some social skills, having the most fun in college.
Yeah.
So we see both sides, and we kind of relate to both sides because we see the guys that are having the most fun and being like, all right, that's attainable. That good. You can get that. To the guys that aren't having the most fun and saying, okay, well, look, they're not putting much responsibility to increase or improve those skills.
Yeah.
But talking about you, because talking about that, you guys are probably not the most advanced people, just like us. We're like noobs, basically. One of the biggest things, if you guys are like newer than us, is that you have to know that there's a difference between the sexes, males and females.
Yeah.
Just like how you probably heard Jesus's story, you're like, well, that's pretty good. At least you got the number. Well, girls are like the best subconscious fucking people ever, man. If they see, even if you got the number, if they see some type of like some sign of weakness or some type of you not being dominant or assertive, then it's game over for you, man. Because the girls it's like their fucking sixth sense, I feel. Like they know, like you even told me like right after that set, you were like, yeah, well, it looks like she knew that I was being a bitch. Did you tell me that?
Yeah, somewhere along those lines, yeah. I told you something similar to that.
Yeah, like, and how do you know, like, oh, you can sense it or whatever?
Just pretty much, well, aside from the fact that she didn't text back, I don't know, something in her voice made it seem like she wanted to do something, like, at that time, but, I mean, I guess that just comes from knowledge. If you're not gonna, if a girl does see weakness in you, it all comes from, like, the way you present yourself. If you don't present yourself as an assertive man, a girl's not gonna be attracted to you, unless she's not, like, really confident in herself either. Confident girls want confident guys. So if you're not willing to take what you if you're not willing to go out and take what you want, then that you'll present yourself as a non-confident male.
Yeah, and this advice isn't like, how do you say it? We're not basically saying, oh, be assertive, dominant to all girls or whatever. I mean, all girls deep down, I feel like they do want a dominant guy, but I've seen cases, and I bet some of you guys are like, well, those dominant girls, or those confident girls, those aren't my type or whatever. They're not my type.
Yeah.
But deep down, they are your type. Like if you could get a model girl, I'm assuming, I bet you would want a model girl, because a lot of people put that like tell themselves that, well, they're not really those stuck up girls. Yeah, they're not my type. Yeah, they're bitches or whatever.
Yeah.
But deep down, I bet they would want the girl like
right.
that. But they just can't get that girl, so they kind of settle for a mediocre girl, like that 6 or 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
And deep down, like, dude, you're only gonna live once. go for what the fuck, like the best thing you want. Like, sometimes I tell you and I understand it's easier said than done because I'm still struggling with that sometimes. But I know that sometimes when I do approach or whatever, I do approach like some hotter girls that back then I thought that they were out of my league.
Yeah, man. It all comes from experience. You're not gonna go out there and get the hottest girl immediately. It all takes time.
But all I'm saying is that don't settle.
Yeah, pretty much keep in the back of your mind, like, there's a dream girl out there that you want, man. And there's always those girls that you're walking out like, fuck, like I wish I could have her. Well, then go get her, man. Like, there's no excuse for you not living the best life. Like, the only reason you're not living the best life you can is yourself. Like, you're the only one stopping yourself from achieving your potential, pretty much. And that's what we're here for, man. We're here to explain to you our journey, what we're doing to improve our lives, and to inspire you to improve your life as well, man. So even though that girl didn't text me back, like I said, reference experience, I know what to do better now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all about getting better.
And a challenge from us and to ourselves probably is like, even if you guys haven't approached all this week, at least try to get at least 2 approaches. I mean, even our friends have said that 2 approaches isn't, even in a day, isn't even called approaching. It's warming up. But at least do 2. One is called, sacrificing the lamb. Just do as a fucking practice. And then the second one, do an actual, try to get that done.
Try to push it as far as you can.
Yeah.
Man. Don't do anything like crazy and shit. But just like I said, don't settle for the number. Definitely present yourself as a confident man and show what you want. Man.
Last thing before we're out of here.
Yeah.
The last thing is where can these guys go to find women?
Oh, pretty much.
What would you recommend?
The way I mean, at this point in time, since it is school season, I guess, college campuses, the biggest college campuses in like your area.
Yeah, even if you're not a student,
right?
Even if you're not a student, just you can still go.
Yeah, they probably can't even tell unless you're like an older guy.
And don't be fucking creepy about it. Shit.
Yeah. Definitely don't be creepy about it. Don't even say that you don't go there. Like I said, use the bounty hunter line. They don't know if you're fucking. They don't know. They know you're not serious, but they don't give a fuck. Like, it's a shit test, guys. They're just trying to shit test you. Use a bounty hunter line. I don't know. Use your own line. Read the Tyler Durden book, definitely. But yeah, guys, college campuses. I've heard malls are good, but I heard that's kind of weird. Touristy areas. I know there's a touristy area in my city where pretty much everyone goes to, where there's like a movie theater. There's like a arena there. There's everything there, so that's where people go, especially just like on the weekends. It is getting closer to the weekend. It's Thursday. That's pretty much the start of the weekend for like college kids. So definitely just be out and about to like the touristy areas in your city. You'll definitely find girls there. And pretty much, like I said, college campuses for people around like their 20s. That's pretty good too.
Yeah, man. So that wraps up this episode of Level X Podcast. Hopefully you guys liked it. We're obviously still improving, but we appreciate all the love. Subscribe to us on our iTunes account, the Level X Podcast. Subscribe there. Subscribe to our SoundCloud if you haven't, and follow us on our Twitter. Our Twitter is going to be the most active from all those. Well, I mean, we post every week, but on the Twitter account, we post basically every single day. But follow us on there. A lot of knowledge.
Yeah, guys, and don't be afraid of messages or anything like that. Or give us any feedback. We definitely appreciate all the feedback we've been given so far. But if you have any questions, like David said, if you want any book recommendations, email us lvlxpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us, tweet at us, anything, guys.
And then next week, hopefully you guys do your approaches and see what you guys learn. Besides that, we will see you guys next week.
Hey guys, if you like this episode of the Level X Podcast, make sure to definitely leave a review. We are on iTunes, we are on SoundCloud, and we are on YouTube. You just search up Level X Podcast, and also leave a comment if you are on YouTube on what you liked, what you think we can improve on, anything you would like us to talk about. Also, if you have any questions, please email us at lvlxpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to respond to you or even answer it on the show. Follow us on Instagram at Vincent Studios, VNCT Studios, for any updates. Also on Twitter at lvlxpodcast. We will definitely be posting on there, also responding to questions and any comments you guys might have. We will also be posting the books we talked about on this episode of the Level X podcast on Twitter. We'll be posting the links on where you can purchase those books. So definitely check us out there. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next week.